let's go. Let's start with a strong one. I think this will go without saying. Napoleonic revolt. Although that's not technically the Napoleonic revolt, technically you can argue the Napoleonic revolt is a card revolt because you get into revolutionary France and then you have to pay more resources to get into Napoleonic revolt. But we'll include both together because they kind of are the same. They both change your deck and add lots of cards and stuff. Napoleonic revolt may be the best revolt in the game. We'll go through it and we'll change horizontally, but I don't think anyone's going to argue that revolutionary France is S tier. Your villagers become insane. You keep your eco because your villagers can still keep eco, yet they become absolute beasts with insane range resist, insane attack. There's lots of cards that buff your villagers, which will buff the Sansquelettis, whatever you call them, Sans-culottes. You get the church Gren's tech for free, so you don't need to send the church tech, and you'll get both of the. You'll essentially get that card for free. So why that happens, I don't know. But if you just create a church in Napoleonic Revolt, you'll be able to get the church techs from the card without actually sending it. One of the best things about this revolt as well is that you can batch train your villagers. So you can batch train villagers. So not only are they insane for pushing, defending, you can also boom insanely well because you batch train 5 villagers at a time. Imagine you've got 3 TCs. That's 15 to 20 villagers every like 30 seconds, which is fucking insane. What else is there? I mean, the Napoleonic Revolt as well. That just buffs. There's insane cards in the deck as well. There's like the 100 Musketeer card. What else? Like your natives become absolutely insane. Your Musketeer, the what do they call them? The Royal Musketeers and the Royal Dragoons become unbelievably strong, better than Imperial units. Like there's just so much to say about this. There's so much insane cards. There's so much like XP cards. It's just probably, I think it is probably the best revolt in the game. There's a couple of contenders like Maya here we will talk about in a second. But yeah, so S tier, we'll leave it there. Let's go for... Okay, let's go. I'll go for a crap one now. I'm going to do... Okay. The Mexico revolt is fucking dog piss Revnax mum juice tier. It is that unbelievably bad. Yo, Salazar, yo, thanks for the 500 Tigo biddies. Goddamn legend. Thanks for the tier list. You're very welcome. We're going to be doing the female first tier list next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday. See what I did there? What's up, King Turtman? How you doing? Otto S+. What? That's not Otto. That's Egypt. Right. Mexico, there's nothing to say about Mexico. It is the only positive thing about Mexico is that if you're Spain and you revolt to Mexico, the soul daddies that get trained from the Hacienda card, Vice Royalty of Spain, if you've got a load of soul daddies, then it will shadow tech their guard tech for you, so they'll become guard teched. But you can just spend 1,200 resources on that anyway. And when you revolt to Mexico, all your villagers turn into pieces of shit, like cavalry units. They don't even turn into revolutionaries. There's an Imperial card, which gives you free cards. It gives you basically a whole army for free shipments. So free shipments for one shipment. Again, that's the only good way. I did a video a few months ago of it, and I still lost. It's like, honestly, it is so bad. Like, this is probably the worst revolt in the game. Like, hands down, this is the worst revolt game. There's no reason ever to do this revolt. It is so bad. So bad. No eco, no power spike. One shipment that gives you 3 shipments, which gives you like 2 heavy cannons, 10 cav, and like 10 soul daddies. But it's still absolutely terrible. What about a male tier list? Credos ROP, you just don't know it yet. Shut up, Evolution. Just shut up. Just shut up. This is a 1v1 scenario. Even in team, that card is just terrible. You might think from a certain scenario where you're able to send lots of cards to buff the... No, it's just terrible. It destroys your eco. It destroys your tempo. There's no good cards. It's just dog shit. And Corredos sucks. Yeah, they're only good under certain circumstances against certain units. Okay. Now we've got 1S, one Revnax Mum Juiced here, which is... You'd think that tastes good, but believe me, it doesn't. So that's why it's below tier, D tier, not S tier. That would be Revnax Mum's. Hey! All right, let's do one that's middle of the road. I think I'll go for Peru. This used to be this revolt's quite close to my heart because I used to really like this revolt. I used to really like this revolt. It used to be busted because you have the card that makes all your revolutionaries into kind of mini Grens. It gives you like 10 of them as well. And it used to be really busted. It gives you a hero, an extra like kind of soldier, which can plant or which can also make units and buff other revolutionaries. It used to be S tier. It got nerfed a couple of times. It still has its place. It got a little bit of a rework as well. The Peruvian, there was a couple of cards added. Particularly, it got a huge like Inca type theme to it. So there's a couple of really good Inca theme, Inca cards rather. You can also there's also the card that I think it's 1k coin and no, is it 2k coin? I can't remember. That gives you a huge mass of units, rodoleros like guard rods. It gives you like the shock infantry, I think, as well. And it also gives you the Inca hero, which has like 2,500 HP, which is kind of insane. So technically in this revolt, you can have 3 heroes. Most civs can only have 1. This gives you 3 heroes. It gives you the starting hero, whether you're Portugal or whoever, or Spain. It gives you Bolivar. Is that how you say his name? That's it, Simon Bolivar. Who's basically he's one of those type of heroes that buffs your revolutionaries, and he can make revolutionaries as well. And he can receive shipments, and then you can also get the Inca hero. So you can have 3 heroes which all have an insane amount of HP. So it's kind of good, but it's not as good as it used to be. The revolutionaries got nerfed hard a few times. There's a small potential for eco because you can send for 1k wood. You can get all of those Inca houses, but it's a very small amount. You can get Mayan forts, which is kind of cool. So you can get when you revolt to Peru, the best thing to do is to get the Mayan units. The Incan units. So you can get the Inca forts, right? And all Inca units are shadow teched to guard. So in this revolt, you can by default get guard Inca units. So literally all of them, all of the ones you can make from the Inca fort, you can get from Peru revolt. So that's kind of cool, and kind of OP as well because you can get like imagine like guard. What are the slingers? They're kind of insane. They might actually be champion. I think they're the one that gets teched to champion because you can send them as a shipment, infinite shipment. You get about 6 of them. So yeah, I mean, it's somewhere in the middle of the road. Still has its purposes, but it's not as good as it used to be, and it runs out of steam a lot harder than than the revolts above it. Plus, it's a non-eco revolt. Eco revolts tend to be better than all-in revolts, apart from a couple of instances. Okay, another one somewhere in the middle of the road. Where should we go for next? I know. So I'm going to put Brazil in B tier. Now, let me have a think. Brazil could be A tier. Is it better than Peru? Brazil's either going to be at the top of B or the top of B or end of A. Now, the reason why I'm thinking Brazil might be, do you know what? I think I'm going to put Brazil A tier. The one reason, so Brazil's kind of, it's kind of okay. you get like the free revolutionaries. You get free 10 revolutionaries from each TC every couple of minutes or so, or minute and a half, however long it is. I think it's every 2 minutes or so, maybe longer. So if you're a civilization like Portugal and you've got lots of TCs, that's kind of good. But it's not an eco revolt. However, you can get eco back. And again, if you have lots of TCs, so with Portugal, the idea is that you get lots of free revolutionaries every so often, but you can also send a shipment that gives you the villagers back. It gives you like 6 villagers, and then you can start making them again. And if you've got lots of TCs, you can build back your eco. But so if it was just Portugal, it would be B tier. However, because Brazil, you can revolt into Brazil from Italy. We saw a few months back that there is something very busted with Brazil, which is when you're Italy, you can send the shipment, the Papal Arsenal shipment, which gives all of your Papal units a buff and stuff like that. And if you pair that, there's I can't remember the name of the card, but there's a card that supposedly comes in quick, and it makes all your other shipments come in quick as well, like a very quick. When you ship that with Italy, it basically means your Basilica units, all the Papal units that you can make from the Basilica, train every like 15 seconds or 10 seconds, something insane. And so if you, with Italy, the idea, what you do with Italy is that when you revolt, you get enough gold to build more architects, and then the architects will remake town centers, which of course that means the more town centers you have, the more free revolutionaries you get. But then you can make up to like 7 town centers, and then what you do is you send the villager card that allows you to build villagers back. Italy will always have capitalism, so you get lots of villagers back, and you build up your eco again whilst using the free revolutionaries as a way of holding off your opponent. And then when you start to get a decent eco, you can literally spam Basilica units, which is unbelievably broken. You can literally keep spamming Papal Lancers, which is insane because they're supposed to take like a minute to make. Instead, you can make them in like 10 seconds. It's absolutely busted. It's not S tier busted because it takes a lot of groundwork and it's very counterable. However, I think it's a solid A tier because of the Italy. If it was just Portugal, it would be in B tier. Okay. We're starting to fill out most revolt. We've only got C and D tier. So is there any C and D tier civs revolts? Yes, there is. Okay. Let's go for Indonesia. Now, Indonesia is one of the worst revolts in the game. Yes, there's been a couple of times where people have done Indonesia revolt with Dutch or whoever, and they've made it work. Congratulations. The revolt itself fucking sucks donkey dick. It gives you the most floppy penis cannons on the planet. They're barely better, if at all, than flaming arrows. Penis cannons are estimated. Believe me, they are not good. Your revolutionaries turn into pikemen. Yes, the pikemen are very strong, but they're fucking pikemen. So you can literally beat Indonesia by pure artillery. All you need to do is make a couple of culverins for the penis cannons, and then just a couple of heavy cannons, for example. And there's pretty much nothing they can do. There's a couple of fun cards like the war elephant, which the more times you send it, you get another one every time you send it. But you're never in a position where that becomes worth it. You get no eco. The only reason it gets saved for eco is because you generally you revolt as Dutch, and Dutch have banks, so you continue having eco, but the coin doesn't really get used for anything because their revolutionaries cost food. It's just a terrible revolt. It gives almost no tempo. There's no good units. You can make like Akans. You can send Akans. There's a couple of other shipments, but I'm thinking off the top of my head, and they're just fucking terrible. They are absolutely terrible. There's no like big tempo card. They don't have a huge tempo card, and as a result, the pikemen are kind of left there protecting penis cannons, which just kind of is shit. So Indonesia, not quite Revnak's mum juice tier, but they're not far off. They're like if there was a D minus tier, they would be D minus. One of the worst revolts in the game. You should almost never revolt to Indonesia unless you want to win, unless you want to be able to brag and you want to meme on your opponent and say, literally flop your dick out on the table and say, I just beat you with Indonesia revolt. It's absolutely hilarious. Okay, so moving on. Do we have a C tier revolt? I think we do. And I'm looking at Colombia. Although Colombia, I'll tell you what. Let's go for Romania first. Romania, I think, are going to be a C tier. They are better than Indonesia, but they're worse than Peru. There's, again, one of the most fun revolts, and we saw, I actually, for the first time in years, we actually saw a Romania revolt on my YouTube channel actually get a really cool win a couple months back. It's a really cool revolt. I really enjoy this revolt. I enjoy watching this revolt. However, it's very specific. Again, it gives you revolutionaries which aren't that great. They're worse than normal revolutionaries, I would say. Because I think they're quite slow. Are they the ones that are slow? I can't remember. There's no big tempo cards. There's no like big hoo-ha tempo card. You need lots of setup with this revolt as well. It's not like just you can just revolt and it works. Generally, I would say the reason why Romania is not in D tier is because on water maps, it's kind of quite good. Now, the best revolt is to go with Otto. I don't know if any other civ can revolt into Romania. Is to go for Otto, water boom, build lots of outposts, make get both your factories, get lots of good eco, get all of your cavalry archer cards. Really important, you get cav archer cards. And then when you do revolt, the one reason you want to revolt with this normally is to get the Wallachian horse archers. Now, Wallachian horse archers are an S+ tier unit. They are unbelievably insane. They have like a 1 fire rate, and with all the other cav archer upgrades, like the villager bonuses, the cav upgrades, they are honestly an insane unit. They literally are like machine guns that murder villagers. Wallachian. Okay, thank you. It's not Wallachian, it's Wallachian. It's got a CH in it, bruv. It's got a CH in it, all right? I'm English. Leave me alone. CH in English is ch. It's not a k. That's what K is for. Okay, Wallachian. Shout outs to all my Romanian brothers. So it's a really cool, it's one of my favorite revolts, definitely, but it's not a very strong revolt. However, it does have a redeeming factor of Wallachian horse archers, which are the best horse archers in the game. I'm pretty sure they're the best horse archers in the game. Maybe apart from Imperial horse archers. So yeah, really cool revolt. But it takes a lot of prep, kills all your eco, but it does have redeeming factors. So we've filled out the tier list. That's kind of cool. I like that. That's looking real pretty. Okay, let's move on to other revolts. Let's do a couple of Mexico. Actually, we'll probably do Mexico revolts last. I think that's a good idea. Let's do the Mexico revolts last, so we can kind of separate it a little bit. Canada revolt. Okay, it's staring at me. Look how beautiful Canada's flag used to look. And I'm not being biased because it has the Union Jack in there. It's called the Red something. I can't remember. What's this flag called? It's called the Red something. I know you boffins, you losers in chat will know exactly what it's called. It's called the Red something. Anyways, I'm sure one of you remember. This is going to be S tier. Not as good as Napoleonic Revolt. The Red Ensign, thank you. The Red Ensign. That's just such a cool name as well, isn't it? The Red Ensign. And they got rid of this card for a fucking maple leaf. Like, bruh. Like, shout out to all my Canadian brothers. I love you. I love Canada. I love you guys. But seriously, you downgraded big time with your flag. Just look at Australia and New Zealand. Anyways. Canada, one of the best revolts in the game. It basically it's arguably better than going to Imperial, because the main reason why this is insane is because you get the champion natives, and it has a card that allows you to align with like 4 or even 5 extra natives, not including ones that are already on the map. So you can literally have like 5 or 6 different natives on a map. All of that combined is like, we're talking like 70 to 80 extra military units on the map. Not many civs can overpop like that. And with Canada, you can constantly overpop purely because you can constantly keep making natives, which obviously don't cost population space. And there's native cards in the Canadian revolt to upgrade your natives as well. On top of that, you can get like guards, cheap guard musketeers, which is another kind of route to go down with. There's a couple of routes to go down with Canada. One is to go for the guard musketeers. I can't remember what they're called. Again, someone in chat, tell me what the musketeer card is that gives them guard status and makes them cheaper. You can go down there. You can get like Highlanders. You can get a really good cost-efficient Highlander card. Fencibles, thank you, Fencibles, yeah. And then you can go the villager route as well. So you can really buff up your Canada villagers, because obviously Canadian villagers are really tough. And they murder artillery, by the way. They have bonuses versus artillery. As Brits, if this was the Brit Canada, I would probably put Brits Canada down here, just because it doesn't buff your villagers in the same way. But as French Canada, it's definitely here. It might still be here as Brits, but definitely here with Canada. With France Revolt. So yeah, but generally you don't go down the fencibles route. Generally what you do is, it's more of a mid to late game revolt, where you kind of revolt to get all your extra natives and just push in with like 200 population of units while still having max villagers, and constantly wave after wave of 200 population unit type units, and just pushing in all the time. You can even do like 300 pop almost, if you count your villagers pushing in as well, which are very tough. So there becomes a point with Canada that even Imperial stuff can't beat it. So yeah, so Canada Revolt, definitely S tier. So the Canada militia officer is bugged. The aura is supposed to buff natives, but it doesn't. Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah.
Let's see if we get another patch and that gets sorted. Yo, recruiting
Long time
Gilly.
no see, Big Lion. How you doing?
Yeah, my man. 9 months. How you doing, good sir? You goddamn legend. Thank you so much. You've come in at a good time. Right. Let's get a move on here, because I want to play a game after this. Let's have a look at. Okay, cool. USA Revolt. USA Revolt. Best. This isn't an S. It's I don't know. Is it an S tier revolt? I don't think it's S tier revolt. I think it's probably the top of A. Now, again, unlike these civs which keep their eco, USA doesn't keep their eco. However, you saw what I did and a couple of others have done recently, where you can essentially overpop to like almost 400 population. Now that I'm thinking about it, that alone is probably S tier, I think. USA Revolt's not that good. Honestly, it's not that great. I'm specifically talking about, Dutch is the... But there is one type of circumstance where USA Revolt is unbelievably strong. And that is when you essentially make... you can make... With Dutch, perfect scenario, right? Say you can make 100, so you can make 50 villagers with Dutch, right? Generally, you make 50. There's a couple of cards, but let's forget about that. So 50 villagers, and let's say you've got 7 banks, okay? If you can then make, Reuters cost 1 population, okay? If you make 150 Reuters, because that takes you up to 200 pop. There's a card that turns all of your Reuters into guard Dragoons, the USA Dragoons, which are 2 population, because they're almost double the stats worth. That means almost 150 Reuters, 150 pop, carbine cavalry, thank you. 150 pop turns into 300 pop. Now, that means you have 150 guard carbine cavalry, plus the revolutionaries from the revolt, plus any other shipments you've sent. Like, and then you can overpop again with the revolution cards, so the red lancers and the musketeers. You can turn into like a 400 population machine. So USA revolt with Dutch is potentially the most busted thing in the game, and the Bourbon Musks. Yes, exactly, Artie. So like over 400 pop. It's absolutely insane. Plus natives. However, it's not as strong as these because it takes a lot of prep work to get there, and it's very vulnerable as well. There's not. There is tempo after that big push, but it's not as good because you lose most of your eco. But with banks, you get it. So the USA revolt with Dutch is S tier, but with any other civ, it's probably A, even B tier. So we'll do it at its best and we'll put it in S tier. Purely for that one reason, that one big push that you can revolt your units to get a huge overpop, and it basically becomes unkillable. I'm pretty sure there's nothing in the game that could beat it. Maybe other than like the Canada overpop or even the Napoleonic overpop, because both these civs have insane overpops. You can see there's a theme there. Anything that overpops gives insane overpop over the 200 population limit is kind of busted, because it becomes such a huge snowball that you can't defeat it no matter what type of units you have. And compare it to a normal civ that has 99 villagers and can only have 99 population. You can't build units back enough to it's just crazy. So we'll leave that there. Let's go for Finland. I love Finland revolt. I really enjoy it, but it's a very rare revolt because you can only do it with Russia or Sweden, which both civs aren't often going to be fast industrialing, and they don't fast revolt generally. But Finland, it has quite a steep learning curve because you need to know how to use this revolt, because it's not easy. And there's a couple of really good cards though. Now, if we was talking strictly Russia revolting into Finland, I would probably put Finland in B tier. But with Sweden, it's definitely A tier. Finland keeps your eco. It turns all of your units into these pseudo skirmishers, quite strong skirmishers. These skirmishers can chop wood, okay? They chop wood at a base rate of 0.5, which is the same as a base villager. Now, you can also batch train these, just like Revolutionary France. You can batch train those skirmishers, which are kind of villagers on wood. Carillion Jaegers, thank you. Is it 0.75 wood? I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool. But regardless, okay, that means the more Carillion Jaegers you make, the more wood you get, which means you create more of them, because Carillion Jaegers only cost wood. They cost like 100 wood. So you can batch train these from a town center. You can put all of them on wood, which means they can make more of them, and then you make more of them, you get more wood, you can make even more, etc., etc., etc. So you can literally just make a whole army of just Carillion Jaegers, which is pretty strong. However, this revolt also allows your Carillion Jaegers, there's a card that allows Carillion Jaegers to gather food and coin. Insane, right? Insane. So you can have 99 Carillion Jaegers acting as villagers on the map. And then when you want to push, you bring them all together for one huge push. There's also a card, which costs, I think, 500 coin, which gives you the ability to get Imperial units. Now, with Sweden, you generally use this to get Imperial Carillions. That's the objective of Finland. You ship that card, you get good eco with Carillion Jaegers, you make max Carillion Jaegers. It also sends you lots of guard blockhouses and stuff like that. So you're going to hit all the ads on the screen. Yeah, I know, it's kind of annoying, isn't it? So where was I? Yeah, so you get lots of blockhouses, and you can upgrade your torps. You can get the tree card in H4 with Sweden, and then revolt, and then that produces enough wood for all your Carillion Jaegers. You know, it's kind of insane. And then you can get Imperial. By the way, these Carillion Jaegers can build as well, so you can make more torps with Carillion Jaegers, which is kind of crazy, right? Um, and then you can get Imperial Karelians, and you're in age 4 because you're in a revolt essentially, and you get Imperial units. It's just very, very good. However, it's difficult to play, and you need to know how to play it. But if you do, it's very, very strong. But only with Sweden. With Russia, it's not that great. It's not that great with Russia. You can still get Imperial units, but you don't have the same Torp eco, which you kind of need for Finland to produce those Imperial units. But you can still make Karelian Jaegers, which can produce economy. But it is definitely better with Sweden. Okay. Right. I've got an itchy nose. I haven't got hair up my nose or something. Or that cocaine addiction. Hiya! All right, moving on. Let's do the Barbery Pirates. Now, Barbery Pirates is definitely... This is the one definition of an all-in revolt. And I think Barbery Pirates is a really solid B tier. I think it's very viable. But only against certain civilizations. I did it recently against Kevin, and I actually beat his Haudenosaunee doing a fast Barbery Pirate revolt. And you make all the Barbery revolutionaries, the Barbery pirates. They're very, very strong. They're like Rodolero. They're basically a mercenary version of Rodoleros. And you can send 16 after 16 of them or something. It's actually incredible, resource wise. However, you don't get eco. I've got hair on my nose. It's killing me, man. However, you don't get eco. It turns all of your units, your villagers, into revolutionaries, or into Barbery pirates. And the Corsair marksmen are okay. Yeah, they're okay. But there's not much follow up other than spamming 16 Barbery pirates or marksmen. I've definitely got a rogue hair on my nose somewhere. I'm going to ignore it. So Barbery Pirates, a very cool all-in, quite similar to Peru. It's a very all-in revolt. 16 Barbery Corsairs are insane value for shipment, exactly, and it's an infinite shipment, so it is actually an insane shipment. However, that is realistically the only shipment that you can send. If your opponent turtles up hard, has lots of artillery, you might be fucked. Okay. Now I can't remember. This one is Chile and that one's Texas, right? I think, yeah, that one's definitely Texas because that's next to the other ones. Let's go for Chile. Chile, one of mine and Robot's favorite revolts, has been for a long time. If you've seen Robot play, you've seen him do the Chile revolt. Chile revolt used to be up here. Chile revolt, for the longest time in DE, was always an S tier civ. However, all revolutionaries got nerfed. Their speed got nerfed. Chile revolt has been nerfed numerous times. It used to, when you revolted, it used to give you 10 Hussars of death. Then it went down to 8, and now it went down to 6. No, it's definitely not S anymore. It still has a big power spike, but the way you want to use Chile revolt generally is you want to catch your opponent off guard. So you want your opponent to push into you, and then you pop all of these Death Hussars, get all the revolutionaries, and then attack. However, that's generally the way you want to play it. However, if your opponent turtles up, Chile revolt doesn't have a lot. Like it's very tough. So yeah, it used to be S tier, but because revolutionaries got nerfed, and because the amount of Death Hussars you got nerfed, I'm going to put it at the top of A. Still, out of all of the all-in revolts, which are Chile, Barbery, and Peru, USA's somewhere in between eco and all-in. Out of the 3 all-in revolts, is still definitely the best. 6 OP broken Hussars. It's not like they're as good as Spahi, by the way. So like, think about that. You know, like Otto get that as a shipment, yet you have to revolt to get broken Hussars. You can send like the 7 Hussar shipment before and then time it with the revolt, so you have something like 15, or however much. I don't know, not that much. 13, is it, hussars? Um, and try to save the 4 hussars from the scout age up. Then you've got something like 17 hussars if you can save all of them. Then you've got a big power spike, but still, then it's still not great. Well, it's not as good as it used to be, but it's still very, very strong. So yeah, I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna put it at the top of A tier. It's definitely not as good as these revolts, like Revolutionary France and Canada. Another interesting all-in, actually, now that I'm looking at it, is Egypt Revolt. Now, Egypt Revolt's an interesting one. Egypt Revolt, it used to be better, but they nerfed one of the cards. So Egypt Revolt essentially turns all your revolutionaries into a certain type of fusilier. However, arguably that is one of the, if not the best revolutionary in the game, because it has a, like the other is it Nizams, they have different bonuses at different ranges, so they can get up to 15 range but not have a cavalry multiplier, or they can have 12 range and have a cavalry multiplier. So depending on what you're facing, there's a big micro instance for this. Also, it's definitely an all-in. You can pair it with bombards as well, or factories, and keep producing bombards. There's also one of the reasons, Cavette Fusilier, thank you, that's right. I was thinking top of B. I don't know if it's top of B or it's the bottom of A. We might have to have discussion on this, because one of the best cards in the game, I think, honestly, is the card that gives you, I think it's 4 or 5. What are those African Mameluke type units called? I can't remember the called. I just posted a video about it the other day. Senna Horseman. So is it 5 or is it 4? I think it might be 5 Senna Horsemen. And on each shipment sends like a Mameluke as well. So basically, you get like an insane amount of HP. It sends you 5 Senna Horsemen and 1 Mameluke. That is one of the best shipments in the game. And it's free. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. It's 6,450 HP. 6,450 HP for a free card. It is unbelievably insane. And I think because of that one shipment, I'm going to put Egypt at the bottom of A. It's not as good as Chile. It's not as good as Brazil with Italy. It's not as good as Finland with Sweden, but it's definitely it's definitely stronger than Peru and Barbery, but not by a large portion, not by a large amount. But I think it's better enough to be in a different tier. Okay. Let's go for Hungary. Interesting, Hungary. Okay, I think, where does Hungary go? Hungary is kind of shit. The only discussion for Hungary, I think, is whether or not it's the bottom of B or at the top of C. Now, it's definitely better than these two civs. But again, it takes a lot of preparation. In the fact it's the same as Romania, where you need lots of outposts for it to be good. But if you do have there's a couple of builds like with Otto, where if you do have a lot of outposts, there's a couple of really good cards that give you a lot of Magyar Hussars. So there is quite a big power spike with this revolt. It also gives you Grenzers, I believe, which Grenzers, again, like the Cuvette Fusiliers, they're better than ordinary revolutionaries, which automatically makes it a good revolt, because you get units that are better than revolutionaries. Grenzers are one of the best revolutionaries. Again, they're probably up there with the Fusiliers, the Cuvette Fusiliers. Grenzers, yeah, they have 16 range. A revolutionary that has 16 range is just insane. I'm sorry, that is just insane. Because all revolutionaries are basically Caroleans. That's one speedy Caroleans. That's the best way of looking at them. And to have a Carolean with 16 range, it's really, really good. But is it better than? I don't think it is. Russia 100% B tier. Maybe A tier. Malta might be D tier. Well, no, with Russia, in order for how is it B tier with Russia? if you revolt with Russia into Hungary, it's a very late game revolt. There is a couple of nice cards. You can get lots of blockhouses, but there is almost never a time where you're under those perfect circumstances. And if you are, Russia will generally have almost max villagers at that point. And if you're at that point, there is no reason why you would revolt. That would just be retarded because you could just spam Strelets instead, which would be way better. So there's no circumstances that this is ever high. This is never A tier. Georgian Hussar into Magyar Hussar. Yes, but again, that's unbelievably expensive. So that's just bad. I think I'm going to leave it there. I think I'm going to leave it. It's definitely. I think it's better than Romania. Definitely better than Romania. It has some uses, but only under circumstances. As Otto, you would pretty much always go for Egypt or Barbery before you'd go for these two. Unless you're water booming, where you could go for Romania. Again, there's almost no circumstance you'd ever go for Hungary. And as Russia, you're never revolting as Russia because Russia's just not a good revoltsive. Okay, moving on. Argentina used to be S plus tier. Do you remember? Argentina used to be S plus tier because you had the Grenadaros, which were absolutely busted. It got nerfed good, but it got nerfed way too hard. Grenadaros don't just cost food anymore. I think they cost wood or something as well. But they nerfed so much about this revolt. There's almost. Are you sure that's Argentina? Yes, that's Argentina. That one's Central America. You've almost got me. This revolt you will never see anymore. It is turned into dog trash. It's probably almost Revnak's mum juice. 130 food and 50 coin. Because all of your eco turns into revolutionaries, you don't get villagers. So the only way to produce that coin is by putting factories. So you have to ship factories, get them producing coin, and then use your the cavalry. What is it? The I can't remember the name of the outlaw that you get from here, and get them to what do you call it? Eat the food, like I can't remember what the unit that they're called. So it still has the card that costs 1,300 coin, which is very, very good. So there is a big power spike. But honestly, I think it's C tier. Gauchos, that's it. Like, because you used to be able to get gauchos, eat lots of livestock, and keep producing more gauchos, and then and also producing more grenadaros, which were busted, and they still kind of are really good, even though they got nerfed a few times. But there's just nothing else to it anymore. I'm gonna leave it in C tier. It got nerfed. Basically, it got nerfed way too hard. What you should have done is turn Grenadaros make them cost 250 food. Make them or make them very expensive food wise, because they should cost 250 food. But you couldn't make out half as many of them. However, they didn't, and they basically destroyed the revolt, which is fine, which is better than it being busted, because it was. But it's now just terrible. So we'll leave it here. It's probably better than Romania. Romania takes a lot of setup. Again, it can be good. It can be good on water booming, but that automatically makes a revolt bad generally. If you need to water boom, anything that takes a lot of prep means it takes a lot of time and resources, which leaves you vulnerable to being attacked before you can revolt. So generally, any good revolt doesn't take a lot of prep, unless it's an eco revolt, which it doesn't take any prep, because when you revolt, you keep your eco. So it's that's the outliner, right? Colombia. Colombia is a cool revolt. I really like Colombia. You can get Imperial Musketeers with this, but because all of your units turn into Musketeers, you don't have any eco, so you can't produce more. You can't get the resources to get imperial techs. So on a land map, it is absolute. It's probably here. On a land map, it's probably on a land map, it would be probably here because the free unit you get from Colombia you get 2 ironclads. So on a land map, it's down here because you don't even get the ironclads on a full land map, and you get no eco, and it just turns all of your settlers into musks, which kind of sucks. However, on a water map, it's probably up here, even up here, depending on the water map. There is a card that sends free ironclads. That is insane, by the way. That is absolutely insane. So it has a free ironclad card and an infinite 2 ironclad card. So you destroy the water with Colombia. Biggest problem with Colombia, though, is you need to water boom because you need the eco from water once you've revolted to continue making musketeers and to get imperial musketeers. However, if you do get all of that, it's a very good revolt. But again, it takes a lot of setup. And I think as a result, I just have to put Colombia in C tier somewhere. You almost rarely see it, and there's a good reason for that. I think Germany can revolt to Colombia, which any revolt for Germany just sucks. You can also do it with Spain. Spain aren't a big water boom, so you very rarely are water booming with Spain. Oh, sorry, yeah, you're right. Ports can. That is the one civ. Portugal is the one civ that might be viable. But again, okay, it's definitely better than that. It's definitely better than Hungary. I don't think it's better than those two. In certain circumstances, it's good. You can even use it on a map like, let's say, New England, for example, or Horn, where you can put them in lakes, or close enough to your opponent's town center where you can get like 5 or 4 ironclads and just use it to blast your opponent's town center and all of their infrastructure. So there are circumstances where it's good, but generally it's pretty bad. Next one is going to be Haiti. Oh, what have I done there? Another dog trash. There's nothing to say about it. There's no good cards. There is no good cards for Haiti. The most fun card with Haiti is probably better than Indonesia, actually, because at least it gives you decent revolutionaries. At least the revolutionaries are quite good. Could it be C tier? No, I don't. Could it be C tier? No, I don't think it is. The only one fun card with this is, the revolutionaries are maroons, which are decent revolutionaries. It kills all your eco. There's no good cards. The one good card is for 1,000 coin, you can send a battleship, which looks like a pirate flag. Because look at that. That's as close as a pirate flag as you're gonna get, right? So you get this battleship that looks like a pirate ship, and it has about 10 of those outlaws in it. Pirates, literally pirates. It has like literally 10 pirates in it. Which is kind of a cool card, but it's not very good. So, and again, if you're on a land map, it's not worth it. So yeah, I've made it work a couple of times, but only as an overpop. Other than that, you're all dead. So yeah, it's kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. There's really no redeeming factors with Haiti. Oh, okay. We still got one more other than Mexico. South Africa. Now, South Africa is one that's been nerfed numerous times. There was once upon a time at the beginning of DE, this revolt let you send free factories, and you could have free factories pumping heavy cannons. It was absolutely hilarious. But then they nerfed that and they changed it. Has a 2 bank shipment. It was recently nerfed, so it's much more difficult to get, or it's much more expensive to get Imperial war wagons. But most revolts that give an Imperial unit tends to be very, very good. Finland is in A tier for a reason, pretty much exclusively for that. I think South Africa, again, like the common theme here is they're all eco revolts. South Africa, it buffs your eco from your villagers. Like literally, the bonus that South Africa gives is all of your houses turn into wagons, which are really good because they tank a lot of HP. They've got like, I can't remember how much HP they have, but they have like 50% range resist. So they're actually really, really good. Just to have. They don't cost any pop. They just tank a lot of damage. But it buffs your eco, your villagers' eco by I think 5 or 10%. So their gather rate on any resource is plus 5 to 10% eco. I can't remember which way around it is. It might be 10%. I'm sure Evolution will know. But the best thing about this revolt is with Brits, it's insane, by the way. With Brits, South Africa is insane because you can have max villagers and Brits revolt into South Africa. They still have all of their eco. 10% gathering, thank you. On banks as well. Wow. So you can be Brits, revolt to South Africa with all of your villagers and even better eco, 10% extra eco, and you can then send banks. So you can be a 99 villager max eco with South Africa and get banks on top of that. The eco is unbelievably insane. And then to add injury to insult, you can then get Imperial war wagons. So with this civ, you have better eco than Imperial eco, and you have Imperial units. Only war wagons, admittedly, but still, that's pretty good. Don't forget 30 CDB. Yes, that's true, but you tend to not want to send that just because at that point, you don't want 130 pop of villagers. That's just bad. But you can do that if you want to, you know. You have a diamond mine, which is basically infinite gold on a mine. So you don't need to build estates. You have the card that you can send 3 or 4 times, which gives you plus 5% on all units. So you can get, not only can you get Imperial units, you can upgrade that Imperial unit 3 times with extra 5% HP. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It's called Wanderlust or something like that. Yeah, I mean, the revolt is just insane. It's interesting. It's comparable. I wonder what's better. The only reason I'm probably putting it below Canada is because Canada's overpop with natives is absolutely insane. And like I said, that's better than Imperial units having that much overpop. You can't overpop with South Africa with anything, but it does give the best eco out of all the revolts. So guys, they're all the revolts minus Mexico. That's what the tier list looks like without the Mexican revolts. Now let's add the Mexico revolts. Let's speed run these. Okay, let's go for Baja. I know a lot of you noobs that suffer from Baja will put this in S tier, but believe me, they're not. Baja's not S tier. I'm going to put Baja probably A tier. I used to think Baja was one of the worst revolts in the game, but there's been a huge meta shift the last 12 months, 7 or 8 months with Baja. And people have pushed this to the absolute limits. And Baja now, I admit, is actually a very good revolt. We saw me do an all-in against a 2050 Elo guy and beat him in 7 minutes. It can catch people off guard. On certain maps with small amount of numbers, TP, you can do trade monopoly at 5 minutes of the game. You can get good eco back with this. It gives you max population without having to have houses. It has some insane cards like the age 4 card that gives you gold every time you kill something. Soldier of Fortune is an insane card. It gives you trade post economic trickle. That card is very, very good. It's a very good revolt. You get insane native. And you're not stuck in that revolt either. Plus, it's an age 2 revolt. Any revolt you can revolt in age 2 is kind of good because you're guaranteed to revolt. That's the good thing about this. You can always do this build. Nothing is ever going to stop you from being able to revolt. That's the best thing about it. Let's do its counterpart, Central America, which I will put actually right next to it. I will put Central America right next to it. I think Central America is probably better. I think Central America is very, very good. Not only do you revolt and keep your eco, it gives you more eco because it sends villagers. On top of that, you can make cannons. Now, just because you can make cannons, you're in age 2, you revolt, you can make cannons. Also, pretty much the main reason it's an A tier is because it has a 2 Culverin card. A 2 Culverin card is insane. That single-handedly shuts down any fast fortress 2 Falconet build instantly. That's why it's so scary for fast fortress civs. So most fast fortress civs can't send 2 Falconets against this because of the 2 Culverin card. Likewise in Baja, that has a 1 Culverin card. So yeah. There's no much more. There's not more to explain than that. It's definitely better than Baja, but they're still in the same tier, right next to each other. I think it's good to put them next to each other. Let's do the age 3 ones next. Rio Grande used to be here, but I think Rio Grande is probably at the top of B tier now. Is it better than B tier? This used to be very, very good. It used to be not broken, but it used to be S tier. Getting into Fortress isn't always easy with Mexico. You are very vulnerable, so there is a good chance that you can get rushed to death if you try to get into this revolt, because it's always going to be a naked fast fortress to get to that revolt. It's quite expensive. You do have a free Falconet card and a free Culverin card. It used to be a 4 Culverin card. All revolutionaries got nerfed, remember, so you get a 16 revolutionary card, infinite 16 revolutionaries. Is it 16? Is it infinite 16 revolutionaries? I can't remember. I'm debating whether or not it needs to be an A tier still. I think it got 9 soldados. Yeah, that's a good card, but any skirmisher or artillery beats that. It's not that crazy. You lose all of your eco. There is a way to get eco back though, and if it's on a water map, it can be A tier as well. I think I'm still gonna put Rio Grande. Yes, Infinite 14. I think I'm gonna put Rio Grande at the bottom of A, just because of the fisherman card on a water map, you can get water eco, and there is a card that the more cards you've sent gives you more revolutionaries and more villagers, and so there's a card that the more revolutionaries you've lost as well. You can get up to like 25 villagers back. You can send a factory, which can send heavy cannons. So there is opportunity to get eco back. It has lots of good cav upgrades, but you're never going to revolt to Rio Grande just to upgrade your cav and give stealth cav. The Zapata tactics, yeah, is very good, but it's not realistic, and this is a realistic tier list. One day, I really hope we see the Zapaco tactic card used really well, because it forces stealth and it can't be unstealthed. I'm pretty sure it can't be unstealthed for a period of time, which just means you can just rock up on someone's base and raid all their villagers without them knowing, or catch their artillery without them seeing, being able to protect them. So yeah, so I think it might go down to B. Is it as good as Chile, for example? No, it's not. It's not as good as these, I don't think. I might put it at the top of B. For the moment, I'm going to put it at the top of B because it got nerfed quite hard. Okay, the next one is Yucatan. Yucatan, the only reason you go to Yucatan is really because you want to go to Maya. Yucatan has some good eco. Again, it's another eco. It's not one where you fast revolt to Yucatan. There is one card which gives you a 0.5 trickle in wood, food, and coin in every hacienda. And if you have max haciendas, that card is insane. You can also get a factory here, fort. It changes your pikeman units into these yeehaw type units. But the main reason you go for hacienda is to go into Maya. So it's again, because it's an eco revolt, technically it can't be bad. There's a couple of very strong eco cards here as well. All hacienda upgrades are for free as well, so you can turtle quite hard with this. But again, it's not something you see very often out in 1v1, but in team games, it's very, very good. In team games, it's probably up here. In team games, it's definitely up here. And then if you can get into Maya as well, even better. Right, the age 4 revolts now. By the way, both of these very, very good. Let's put Texas. Let's put Texas. Oh, where's Texas? Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll do California first. California, it's not an eco revolt, but it kind of is because although you lose all your villagers, there you can get the California Gold Rush card with this. So you get villagers back for free. So, but again, that takes a lot of prep because you need multiple town centers, and you have to get the town centers before you revolted because you can't get them back. So, but the best thing about this is the fact that you can send free factories. And I'm thinking, free factories on heavy cannons is obviously absolutely insane. And also the best thing
Number
about this.
1 revolt equals Tupac Rebellion.
Tupac
Kappa.
Rebellion. Yo, the best card revolt. Thank you so much, Snoop Dogg Gaming. You as a legend. How you doing, man? So free factories is insane. The California Gold Rush is an insane card. But the best thing about this is that you get the Californos. Californos are one pop goon that has area of effect. It's an insane all-round unit. It's probably better. Is it better than USA? I don't know if it's better than USA because of the USA's overpop, but it's definitely S tier. But it's probably the worst S tier because it still takes a lot of time and a lot of prep. You need to prep the town centers. You're very vulnerable to rushes or even other FI timings or fast fortress timings. You don't have culverin cards to defend yourself. But you do get free factories, which is kind of insane. So yeah, we'll leave California there. Texas. I know I've used Texas for the longest time. Texas on a water map, because they have such a good on water maps there's a 14 boat card that Mexico have in Age 4. Generally you want to send that before you revolt to Texas, so Texas still has some eco, but it's not an eco revolt. Even though there is a 25 Vil card similar to Rio Grande, there's a big villager card that you can get villagers back. They have like it has a 4 culverin card, 2 heavy cannons. There is a way to get. There's a card that can give imperial units as well. Again, very, very good. But it kills all your eco because all your villagers turn into revolutionaries. It gives you access to the Minutemen, the USA Minutemen. You can get Marines, but it's not very good. The Imperial units makes it very, very strong. I think I'm going to probably put it... Is it as good as Chile? They're different. That's the problem. They're different. I will put it next to Chile because Chile's like the best A tier. Chile's almost S tier, you know, but it's not quite. But I mean, is California better than Chile? I don't know. It's debatable. It takes a lot. Do you know what? I'm gonna put both of these in A tier. I think just because I know how to use these revolts, but they take a lot of prep. That's the biggest drawback to these revolts. They take a lot of prep to get there, and to make them OP. They are both potentially OP, but it takes a lot for that to happen. Again, Texas fort spam, very, very good, yes, but you need to make forts. You need to send cards to get extra forts. Like, you're so easily rushable. Yeah, and that's the same with both these. Not only do you have to get into Age 4, you have to then get the Age 4 resources, 1,000 resources in each thing, just to be able to revolt. So not only do you have to have the resources to get into Age 4, you need the resources to then revolt as well. It takes a lot of prep, and I think upon further reflection, I'm going to put that there. Now the big bad boy. No fucks given. No introduction needed. My revolt. My probably all-time favorite revolt is the Maya revolt. I love this. It turns your musketeers into 16 range musketeers, or 17 range. They used to be like 18 range or something ridiculous. You get all your units turn into Cruzob units, which are insane. You don't get Soul Daddies anymore, but you get Cruzobs, which are 1 population. And they're like hands down one of the best musketeers in the game. What else do you get about this? There's insane. There's a 12 villager card. There's a villager card that gives you 3 villagers per hacienda and TC, which is a potentially like 30 villager card. What else is there? You get the coolest looking forts in the game. You can't get cavalry, but that's an okay drawback. The best thing probably about this revolt is that you can get Imperial Cruzob units. You can get Imperial insane Cruzob musketeers, which are basically insane Caroleans. But the best thing about it is that you get light cannons. You get light cannons, which are the best artillery in the game, hands down. And on top of that, there's a shipment which I can't remember how much it costs, but there's a shipment that sends a load of rockets. Is it like 5 rockets? That card not only just sends rockets, it buffs all artillery by an absurd amount. So not only can you get light cannons, upgrade them into field cannons, but you can also buff them better than Haudenosaunee can, because there's an insane card that buffs the artillery. So Maya may just be the best revolt in the game. Is Maya better than Imperial? I think it probably is. However, the biggest drawback to Maya is that it's basically like having to get to Imperial. How often can you get to Imperial? It takes so much to get there. It's the main reason you revolt to Yucatan. Once you've gone into Yucatan, you have to spend 2,000 resources in food, wood, and coin to get there. You can turn that to 1,600 in each with a certain card. But yeah, so it takes a lot to get there. But if you do get there, the world's your oyster. You are often unstoppable. In team games, it's unbelievable. In 1v1, it's unbelievable, but very unrealistic because it's difficult to get there. However, if you do get there, it's hands down the best revolt in the game. Yeah, Maya is basically the only revolt you see in treaty games. So that goes to show, even in treaty games, where you get the best of everything, every unit, Maya is revolted. You use Maya in a treaty because your end game units are insane. It's basically the one revolt in the game which reciprocates getting into Imperial Age. And it's basically like playing a whole nother Civ. I would fucking love nothing more than for Maya to be a whole other civilization. Talanis, if you're watching, please can we make Maya DLC? You've basically created the civilization. You just need to add a few more cards and scale the units down for each age. Please, Talanis, make this a civilization on its own. Make Maya a standalone DLC. I would love nothing more than that. My favorite Civ in the game, hands down. It's just I very rarely get to play it. I very rarely get to play it because it's so difficult to get to. Evo already did that. But, you know, we need the official version. So, guys, that's the Revolt tier list. That is the Revolt tier list. Another DLC copium. Try my mod. Yeah, anyone who's watching... Evolution, by all means, pop something in the chat so people can see where to find your or where your mod or pin it or whatever. The reason Maya is so good is because we don't see it very often. Guys, that's the tier list. Thanks for watching. Love to hear your this will be going on YouTube as well, so YouTube, love to hear your options. You can see an interesting balance here. The majority of revolutions are pretty good. I would say B tier upwards are all very viable. C tier downwards, either very situational or trash. Almost most revolts in the game are pretty decent. Yo, Salazar with another tig old biddies, 50 of them. Yo, thank you so much, dude.